June 22nd of 2017, the Sacramento Kings drafted a point guard out of Kentucky by the name of De'Aaron Fox. And for the last 7.5 seasons, Kings fans were enamored with the quickness, skill set, and talent of Foxy. But as of today, all those memories of Fox donning a Kings uniform are a thing of the past, because he is officially San Antonio bound. Yes, earlier today, this news broke that De'Aaron Fox is being traded to the San Antonio Spurs in a 3-team blockbuster trade that sends Zach LaVine to Sacramento. So here's the details of the trade. The San Antonio Spurs receive Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Sacramento Kings, they receive Zach LaVine and City Sissoko, 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. And the Chicago Bulls, they will receive Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and a pick from the Spurs. It's been a crazy 24 hours, to say the least. And to all the Kings fans who are a bit frustrated, who feel that LaVine doesn't necessarily fill the need of the Kings' size and length, we're going to get to all of that in just a second. But there are, of course, a few days left in the trade deadline. So buckle up, people. Matt, earlier this week, I think it was Wednesday or so, Shams put out the tweet saying the Kings are actively and openly looking in trade talks with De'Aaron Fox, looking for a destination. We soon found out that De'Aaron Fox's desired location was the San Antonio Spurs. Today, that came to fruition. He is now heading to San Antonio, and I'm just shocked how we got to this point.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week, to say the absolute least. A roller coaster ride, right? And trying to get a grip on everything that's been going on has not been easy. There were times when this trade was really, really close to being done. And then there were times that things completely stalled or talks completely cooled off. The one thing that was consistent in all of these trade talks this week was the low ball offers from San Antonio. The Spurs were making sure that they were going to do everything they could to take advantage of any leverage that they had with De'Aaron Fox wanting to go to San Antonio, and his agent Rich Paul of Clutch Sports telling other teams that he would not re-sign with them. He would only sign an extension with San Antonio. So the Kings dealt with being lowballed by the San Antonio Spurs, then took that information and looked for another team, looked for another name, because the Kings are not in the business of selling a star to rebuild and reset. The Kings are still in the business of trying to win basketball games right away. There are jobs that rely on that. And then, of course, the Sacramento Kings are still in the hunt with this season. They're a 500 team right now with a lot of time left. So this has been a wild ride of a week. Ultimately, the Kings decided to go for Zach LaVine, who statistically has some similarities to De'Aaron Fox, not nearly the defender that De'Aaron Fox is. So it's a step in the right direction, but between now and February 6th, I would expect there's more to come.
Well, one of the things I'm glad you said there, Matt, is that the Kings are still in a win-now mode, because earlier this week when it was reported that De'Aaron Fox was looking for other options or looking for a trade, everyone's like, whoa, are the Kings going to blow this up? Absolutely not. Make no mistake about it. The Kings are in win-now mode right now with this team that they assembled, even with LaVine coming over here. So now when you look at what the Kings got from the San Antonio Spurs, it's pretty interesting looking at it, because you're like, okay, yes, LaVine, great player, and they're acquiring him from the Bulls. But when you look at the grand spectrum of things, were the Kings winners with this trade?
Well, winners is to be determined. If I'm the San Antonio Spurs, though, I'm doing flips in the street, because the San Antonio Spurs made out like bandits in this deal. The Sacramento Kings did not get any one of 4 kind of middle of the line to young, exciting, up-and-coming players that you would think they would have gotten at least one of these 4 guys. I'm talking like Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson. Like, these were names that the Sacramento Kings should have at least gotten one of these guys, and the Spurs didn't have to give up any of them in order to get the best player in this deal in De'Aaron Fox. Now, the Kings did get 3 first-round picks in this deal. But the reality is, Kevin, these 3 first-round picks aren't that good. The main pick that they got in this deal, or at least the earliest pick, is the 2025 Charlotte Hornets first-round pick. The problem is that pick is top 14 protected, meaning if it's one of the 14 top picks in the league, then the Charlotte Hornets get to keep that pick, and it turns into 2 second-round picks later on down the road. Well, the Charlotte Hornets are the fourth worst team in the NBA right now. That pick is not going to convey. So that's basically 2 second-rounders, not a first-rounder. The other one of the 2 picks is a 2027 San Antonio Spurs unprotected first-round pick. Well, by 2027, unless things go horribly wrong with Fox and Victor Wembanyama, that pick's not going to be good because the Spurs are going to be good. And finally, the last pick is the 2031 first-round pick from the Minnesota Timberwolves, which is pretty much a wild card pick. 2031 is a long ways away, so we can't really tell if that's going to be a good pick or not. Kings have a lot of draft capital now in addition to those 3 second-rounders, which they're assets, but it's not the most exciting.
Yeah, definitely isn't. What will be exciting, though, is this Kings lineup, especially from an offensive point of view. You're bringing someone like Zach LaVine, who averages over 20 a night. You also have Malik Monk, who could put up over 20 a night. DeMar DeRozan's averaging over 20. Domantas Sabonis is averaging over 20. Keegan can get you over 20 a night. So offensively, on paper, it seems like this team is going to be explosive. Defensively is where you're a little bit concerned and where there could be a liability. Also, looking at the San Antonio Spurs, if you're a Spurs fan, you're happy because you get De'Aaron Fox pairing him up with the alien that is Victor Wembanyama. But when you look at both of these teams going forward, which fan base should be more excited about what they're going to see in the future?
I mean, it's the San Antonio Spurs, easy, right? Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox, I think that duo is going to be fantastic. For the Kings, it's still to be determined because there's more time left between now and February 6th trade deadline. And I'll just tell you this. From what I understand, guys, the Sacramento Kings are not done. They're going to be aggressively continuing to pursue trades. So keep an eye out here on abc10.com. Keep an eye out on our social accounts because the Kings are still working. They got time.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to see what they're going to make with this time that they have left because that trade deadline is February 6th, which is 4 days away. So we'll see what they do. In the meantime, if you want to hear more on all of this De'Aaron Fox trade news and for your daily dosage of Kings information, tune in to the Locked On Kings podcast. You can listen to it on the ABC 10 Plus mobile app or watch it on ABC 10 Plus. Of course, it is hosted by Matt George, and we are right back in 30 seconds to talk about another big trade that went on in the NBA. Stick around.